Did you know that on any given day, up to 70% of all the news in your local newspaper, on radio, television, the internet, magazines, newspapers, etc., is released, pitched, or in some way influenced by someone not in the media? These stories are released by countless public relations firms, publicists, in-house communications departments, but the vast majority are released to the media by people just like you. As a matter of fact, most major corporations such as Walmart, Coca-Cola, and a plethora, smorgasbord of others, staff entire departments with people whose only job is to get their product or service mentioned in the news. So, why all the fuss? There's 5 very powerful reasons. According to PR Week magazine, a well-placed news story, whether or not it be in a magazine, TV, radio, carries 5 to 7 times the influence of a similar-sized advertisement. The second reason is, and this is one of the most powerful, is when you're in the media, I don't care what media, you receive the implied endorsement of that organization. There's kind of a thought, and the reality of it is most people just don't know how the media works. They think that you've got a story in the paper and some hard-boiled, smart, journalistic young buckaroo discovered you because you're so wonderful, so great, and out of a compulsion to educate the world on you, decided to do a feature story. You can't buy that level of credibility. And folks, as speakers, a lot of times we suffer from credibility, not so much from our topic, but from the competition that we face. The third reason is that, and we've heard this several times already since we've been here, is when you're featured in the media, you get to establish yourselves as an expert. Now, that word just gets bantered around all the time. I don't think most people really appreciate it. When I first started doing this, I was a stockbroker. I worked for a company called Dominic & Dominic, and I was broke. I had to have myself in the news constantly because it wasn't a matter of trying to drum up new business. It was a matter of eating. David read my bio to you, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself here in just a second. But when I established myself as an expert in what I was doing, and by the way, I've used this in subsequent businesses since, including my speaking business, my phone began to ring off the hook. There's a fellow in Birmingham, Alabama. He's a financial planner. His name is Stuart Welch. Stuart used to send things into the now defunct Birmingham Post-Herald. Well, the Birmingham News picked up Stuart's column, and he is in the paper. He gets paid $50,000 a year to write a column on financial advice. He's a financial planner, so the Birmingham News is paying this man to advertise his own business. That's what being an expert in your industry is. And you guys, here's the interesting thing, and this is why David wanted me to come here. There are speakers out there that can teach you how to write a press release. There are speakers out there that can teach you how to get in the news. We live, as speakers, in a global community. We can't afford to just be in our local paper. We have to be everywhere, and we have to be into those niches. Publicity allows you to establish yourself as an expert no matter what your field is. The fourth reason is that when you have a great publicity campaign put together, you get more ears and eyes. Folks, everybody in here watches TV with a clicker in their hand. Commercial comes on, we click, we go on. I don't know if you pay attention to your newspapers and your magazines, but the ads are in the periphery area of all the magazines, again in the newspapers. Our eyes naturally dart back and forth, and because they're in our periphery, we tend to avoid those. When you have a publicity article, interview, whatever the case may be, people hone in on it, they read it, they pay attention to it, the message gets heard. So you automatically get more ears and eyes. As a matter of fact, if you read a lot of newspapers, you'll see a lot of articles that are actually advertisements, and you can tell that they're advertisements because at the very end there's the little letters ADV, which is by fact is a legal thing. The federal law, you have to put that in. Businesses pay to have their ads look like articles. But the fifth reason is by far the most compelling. It's free. And there's just nothing less expensive than free. I have built several businesses over the years using these very techniques. Now I want to share something with you before I go any further, because my basic program can run 8 hours. You're not going to sit here for 8 hours, and I got 46-year-old knees that aren't going to let me stand here for 8 hours. But it's important to me that you realize that I'm a media outsider. I don't have a journalism degree. I don't have a college education. I'm a high school dropout. I had a raging cocaine habit when I was in my early 20s. I was broke. I wasn't like cash poor. I was broke. I had to park my car in a Catholic church in Atlanta, Georgia, and walk the mile to it every morning so the repo guy wouldn't find it the night before. I had a cop that showed up at my door so often on my street on Belle Isle Circle in Atlanta, Georgia. This guy would show up. He wouldn't even ask me my name anymore. I was just here, Mr. Hart. I was getting sued by everybody. I am probably the only person in this room that has ever stood in a federally subsidized cheese line. I'm not sharing that with you to say, oh, well, it was me, because it's been a long time. The point is, the things I'm going to share with you today, publicity wasn't a matter of, this is something I'm going to do because I'm too lazy to pick up the phone. Because I was a stockbroker. I dialed the phone 400 times a day. This was a matter of eating, folks. I did this because I didn't have any money.